Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have a sophomore shortstop for Newtown, Bri Pellicone. Bri, it's great to be able to have you on the CT Sports Talent podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I was just talking with you about kind of allergies and how yesterday I barely had a voice. Today I have one back, but now it sounds like it's up and down. I mean, are the allergies, killing you as much as they're killing me?
As of right now, no, but a couple weeks ago, they definitely kicked me, but I'm definitely better now.
That's great. And hopefully with the season kind of going underway and, you being outside, hopefully the allergies will be able to avoid you. As far as yourself and why I have you here, and I appreciate the coaching staff of Newtown to be able to allow you to come on. The game of softball, and I always like to ask this about athletes who come on this podcast for the first time. The game of softball, how did it find you?
So when I was about 4 or 5, I started playing t-ball, and then from there, and also my family comes from like sports. So, when I was like 4, I played t-ball, and then at the age of I'd say 6, I played baseball, and then I was like, I want to play with like girls, my friends. So I started playing softball, and then ever since then, I've been playing since 8 years old. So it's definitely stuck with me.
Now, when you were playing baseball, just take me into that, because obviously it's a little bit different than softball, but at the same time, you can carry a lot of those traits of baseball to the game of softball and be very successful at that.
Yeah, I feel like playing baseball also like gave me a competitive nature because like I was the only girl playing with all guys. So I'm like, as a girl, I'm like, I want to beat these guys. Like I want to be better. So I definitely thought that brought softball, like my competitiveness into softball. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember like a lot of baseball because I was so young, but it's like the same aspects, but I feel like there's a lot of different like key points when it comes to softball and baseball.
I have to ask, were you better than all them?
I mean, I don't, I think because I remember when I was left, they wanted me to stay, but I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna like go major league with baseball. So I might have started with softball, but definitely not with baseball. So it was fun though.
I mean, hey, at least you had fun. That's the biggest part of it all. Because if you're not having fun in sports, why play?
Exactly. Yeah.
No. So now, as you were starting to go through the ranks, you're starting to play softball. Were you always this super utility kind of player? I know on your travel team you catch. You're a shortstop right now. Did you always play multiple positions growing up?
Definitely not. So I tried out on this travel team called the Mustangs in 2016, I believe. And my dad was like, "Oh yeah, put her anywhere." So he put me like in the infield. Didn't work out. It just didn't work. So I started playing the outfield. I started off as an outfielder, and then from there I gradually went to the infield. But it was definitely scary because I went into a group of girls that they all knew each other. They were from Monroe, and I was just from Newtown. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And they're all very good. Like I still am good friends with some of them to this day. But it was definitely a whole different like nature. Like it was definitely a different side of softball I didn't even know about. And then once we got into like the tournaments, I didn't even know you had tournaments in softball. I thought it was just games. So it definitely was a different like a different side. And then once I played right field, I was like, I want to do other stuff. So I started to catch, and then from there, catching has just been my position.
That's so funny. I could picture like, I don't know your father, but just picturing any father for either baseball or softball, just being like, for whoever their son or daughters, hey, where does he or she play? Oh, I don't know. Just put her wherever. Let her go. Let him go. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think though, in some ways that I would think it's good because, I bring up, in baseball when I'm talking to baseball coaches or whoever I'm talking to, to pigeonhole a player like pitchers, prime example. POs, I get that in college and especially the major league level, but in high school, why pigeonhole a kid and just put him there? If he's an athlete or he has an opportunity to play other positions, let him see, because you never know what you could get out of that player, but also too for himself if he wants to play in college. So I would think for you at a young age to, even though maybe you didn't have the success early on, playing multiple positions had to help your IQ when it came to softball. No?
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, I've been told this, like, I still get told this day, like, colleges want to see utility players because, like, I might not go to college because just as a catcher, like, they might need me as an outfield. You never know. So it's definitely good to be utility and just to mark yourself as a utility player. It's definitely better than just saying, oh, I'm just a catcher. Cause, like, not every college just wants a catcher. They need other versatile players.
Exactly, because and I don't know how it is for softball for college, but in baseball, having utility players allows, you can carry maybe a little bit more pitchers, or you can have multiple, maybe you can carry two catchers because your other players play multiple spots, or maybe that second catcher plays infield and outfield, and being that super utility player really helps.
Yeah, definitely for college softball, they want you to play more than one position because like you said, they don't want you just pigeonholed to one position because what does that do? Like, oh, you're just a catcher and we already have four catchers because they only carry so much on a roster.
Mhm.
So they need more players. And say if someone gets hurt, their star center feel like, oh, I need you to like play outfield. Okay, coach, I could do that. And if you're just like, oh, I just catch, what's the point of you being there?
Exactly. And like you just said, they only carry so many scholarship players. And if you can bring in somebody who can play multiple positions, even better. Now, Bree, you're only a sophomore, so obviously you still have a couple years left with Newtown, and I don't know what it is as far as college yet for you. We'll get into that later, as far as maybe what you're potentially, thinking about, because it's never too early, because time flies. Let
Mhm.
me tell you. Uh, as you
Yeah.
were getting close to your freshman year at Newtown, were you familiar with the program? Did you know kind of how things were ran there? Just tell me about that.
About Newtown softball.
Correct.
Okay. I so when I was like I said, I play on the Mustangs in Monroe. So ever since I joined the Mustangs, I haven't been on a Newtown team. So I
Mhm.
had no idea. So once I got there, I was like, damn, like this is pretty good. So I had no idea though when I got there. I was like, I don't know any like I knew my friends from like school and stuff, but like I don't
Mhm.
know how they played because I just haven't played them in so long since like rec ball.
Really? So
Yeah.
it was almost like you were like a mid-season acquisition trying to get it, used to all your teammates. No?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'm tight with like my friends that play softball, but like I wasn't on their team or anything. And
Mhm.
they weren't on my team. So we didn't know like we've heard of each other's like accomplishments and stuff, but like we haven't actually played with each other until freshman year.
How was that adjustment your freshman year? Because in any sport, you need to have that you need to have that relationship. You need to have that camaraderie, and I think it helps. And we'll talk about this later as well, how this team for Newtown is so young that whatever young ladies do this year is going to help for years to come. But for your freshman year, how difficult was that?
It wasn't that difficult really because like I think it wasn't just me as a freshman in that same boat. Like there was I think six other freshmen that were like, okay, what's like gonna happen? Because we don't know about the playing time. We don't know the other girls because they're all seniors this year. But they're definitely Newtown's definitely like a welcoming like community, and I felt very like respected there. And even if I was a freshman, like I just still felt that I was like I felt good. And they're definitely like a good camaraderie team. And we did a lot of team bonding stuff. And I hope that like this season too, we definitely do more of that because I feel like if you don't have like that like togetherness as a team, you're not gonna do good.
Now, take me into your first varsity game. What were your emotions like? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Were you kind of a combination of everything?
Okay, first varsity game. I don't remember who it was against, but I know that I was catching
Mhm.
and it definitely and also the pitcher is on my travel team, but we were on like different age groups because she's a year older. But it definitely was something new because like we had a crowd. I usually don't have crowds for my travel teams, just my dad and my mom and stuff. So it definitely was like it was like exciting because I also played high school sports. Like I played volleyball and I played basketball, but like because of COVID, there was like nobody there. But then once softball hit, it was like, oh, fans can go outdoors. So it was like it was really fun. And I definitely enjoy high school softball because like everyone knows it and they're all like, oh, let's go to the game after school. Like it's just fun. So it was definitely nerve-wracking because it was my first varsity game as a freshman, but I liked it and it was very fun.
So you play volleyball and basketball for Newtown.
I did, but because of softball, I'm not doing those sports anymore.
Really, how difficult was that to kind of hang up those two sports to focus mainly on softball?
So volleyball, I tried out like freshman year just to do it for fun because I always like doing it as just outside, like a backyard sport. And
Mhm.
then I was like, oh, I'm actually gonna try this. So I tried out not knowing any positions. I didn't know what a setter was, so I was like, oh, I'll just try that. And then I was like, I don't like this, so I'm gonna do like a hitter or whatever. And then I made JV as freshman. I was pretty proud of myself, but then I told my coach, I was like, I can't do this because I have a college showcase, and he's like, we can't do that. Like, and I understand how like other sports don't want to conflict with other sports, but softball is always my number one sport because volleyball, like I just tried out. So I didn't play as much for JV because I wasn't that good. But then basketball, I've played since like really young. And I still stick with it. Like I go to the gym and I'll play, but I'm not like I don't do high school anymore because like because there's a lot of showcases and there's a lot of camps in the winter. And because of like basketball, my coach is like, you can't do both at the same time, which I totally understand because other people are going to put in the commitment, which I can't. So I don't want to like let my coach down, be like, oh, I can't make this game, this game, this game because of a different sport. So I stepped down on that sport as well to focus more on softball.
I think, it's one of those things where you had to make a grown-up decision at a young age. And, I'm sure people were maybe wondering why you made that decision. And at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's your path. It's not Joe Schmo or whatever. It's your path. And you wanted to go this route. And I give you a lot of respect for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely hard writing that email to my basketball coach, like, because that sport, like, I loved it entirely, and I still do. Like, I'll still go to the gym and I'll be like, okay, let's play some pickup. But I know that softball is like always my own number one, and basketball was definitely there, but I just had to step down to like make more commitment to softball.
No, I want to go back to, and I think what you just spoke about earlier is really something that a lot of people should listen as far as trusting their own, trusting what their heart is telling them and not doing it because they have people behind saying what to do. You know what I mean? You did what you wanted to do. Like I said, I give you a lot of respect for that. To go back to your freshman year, now we spoke about kind of your first game. Take me into your first hit. I mean, do you still have the softball?
Um, I really don't know. I know I have one softball that was signed by my coach against Bunnell, and it was when I hit 2 home runs that game. But that wasn't my first home run. I think my first home run was against Pomperog, and it was home. And I hit it. It was during our SWC games, I believe, or our first conference game, and I hit one over left field. And I was just like, oh my God, like I just hit a home run like as a freshman on varsity. This is crazy. So I'm like trying on the base, like, and I get home and I'm like, Dad, we got to go to the creamery to celebrate this. And he's like, okay. So then we went to the creamery and I got home, and it's definitely in my basement right now. But I just felt like from there, I was just like, it doesn't matter what grade you're in, doesn't matter like anything. If you like put your mind to it, you're gonna achieve it. So when I hit that first home run, I think that definitely boosted my confidence. And I was just like, okay, I gotta just show people what I have now, even though I'm a freshman.
I was just about to ask you, and you just answered the question before I could even ask it was, do you think hitting that home run gave you maybe that confidence boost? Not to say you weren't confident before that point, but hitting that home run, because in the game of whatever, I mean, baseball, you fail more than you succeed. Softball, I think, would be the same thing. You
Yep.
fail more than you succeed, and you need confidence. And if you have confidence, that's one heck of a scary player. And for you to get that your freshman year, that's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like also the fact that like I've never played with these girls, so like they don't know me. So I'm like, okay, I gotta show them who I am. So I hit it over and I was like, oh my God, this is great. So then from there, I just think that like, and my teammates were just like, oh my God, Bri, like that thing was gone, it was sent. They definitely gave me so much more confidence. Like I just love my teammates so much that they always encourage me and stuff. And they're like, oh my God, Bri, that thing was sent. Like, how do you hit that? But like, it gives me so much more confidence, I feel like. So having good teammates definitely like helped me with that too.
You got to say, if they ask you how do you hit tanks, you got to be like, it's $5. That's what it costs to share my wisdom
$5
with
thing.
you. $5.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you want to charge 10, charge 10. It's okay.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
true.
why not? Why not? It's very hard to hit tanks. You know what I mean? Very hard to hit home runs.
Mhm.
So, as far as your freshman year, as it started to slowly dwindle down and conclude, what were some of the uh, biggest factors or biggest things that kind of really jumped out to you as far as what you learned from your freshman year?
Don't be intimidated by like the age of people, because I was 14 playing 18-year-olds. And I was like, it was basically it was a senior versus a freshman. And I didn't let that affect me because on my travel team, I play older girls too.
Mhm.
So I just don't like, you shouldn't get intimidated. And I think you should just trust yourself. And I know how much work I've put into this sport that I shouldn't get like scared, because I know that I put however many hours into my head, however many hours into my fielding, that I can show them what I have. And I just think confidence is definitely key. Like if I have a 0-2 count, like I can't just be like, okay, my bat's over. Like I have confidence. I'm like, I worked 2 hours a night or something to work on this exact situation, that I'm not going to fail at it.
And I, again, to go back to that, that's a very wise outlook on things. Did you learn that from your mom or your father or anybody like that? Because I don't hear that typically from somebody who's only a freshman or a sophomore in high school. Where did you learn that from?
The confidence aspect.
Just everything, because that I typically don't see this in a younger player like this.
I just think I think everywhere. So comes from my coaches, my teammates, my parents. When I'm at my lessons and stuff, I just think like no one like, so for example, if I go to the batting cages, like
Mhm.
I know before freshman year when I would go to batting cages, I'd see no one there. And my dad would say to me, do you see any girls here? Because there'd be baseball players. But do you see any softball players here? I'd be like, no. He'd be like, this is what it takes to be like to be one of, I'm not saying the best, but I'm just saying this is what it takes to have success, is that you got to do what others aren't. So when I go there, I just think to myself, no one else is working just as hard as I am. And when I get up at that bat, when I'm on that field and I'm catching, I'm just thinking to myself, no one's working. And I'm not saying no one is working as hard as me, but I put in so much work to not fail. And when I do fail, I just think, okay, I'm going to work that much harder so I won't fail for the next time. And my coaches definitely put in the work, or put in the word that like confidence, you got to have confidence. Or like if I'm just up at bat, I'm like, okay, like this pitcher's insane. Like I the chances of me getting out are going to be a lot higher than me saying, okay, this pitcher's great, but so am I as a hitter. So I think definitely confidence, and my teammates too, who encourage me, they definitely have helped me with that.
Now I know that Mother Nature, and Bree, it's great to be able to have you on the podcast. I know Mother Nature has been not very kind to everybody as far as with games and such. I know you were just telling me how you were playing a game and then by the third inning, it started to rain. It was bad. How has this season been going thus far for the team and the few games that you played thus far?
So for Darien, we did very good. One of my teammates hit, I believe, a 3-run home run. That was Julia, and that was the first home run of the team. And it was crazy because she was supposed to bunt, and it was an 0-2 count, and then she just sent one over, and we were like, "Oh my god!" Like it was just crazy. It was insane. And then so we won 4-1 because, oh sorry, we were up by a lot, or no, we were down 0-0, and then we got up. I had an RBI. It was 1-0, and then they tied it over an overthrow. So then we're like, we have to win. Like first game of the season, like also our team is very driven. Like from last year, we were just like, okay, we're gonna do that much better this year. So we definitely were very driven, and our energy was up, and we won that game against St. Joe's. We didn't do as good. We lost 3-0, but definitely improvement from last year as we lost 12-0. So we're definitely improving. And then just yesterday we lost against Danbury in 1-0 game. So it was our second home game. So it was a pretty tough loss, but we're definitely an up and coming team. And the work that we put in and the motive we have to win is very high.
What kind of expectations or what are goals that you set for this season that you want to accomplish in your sophomore year?
I want to try and get all state, and then I just want to help my team out the best I can. And then I think having I want to get some home runs, but I don't want to I feel like I put that much pressure on myself to get home runs that it won't happen. So I just have to think just hit the ball, because that's the only way it's gonna go. If I think home run, it just my mind does not work like that. That will just ground out. So, but for my team, I want to help my team as best I can, and playing short, if that's how it's gonna work, then I'll do that.
And I don't know what baseball team you like. I mean, who's your favorite baseball team?
I'd say the Yankees.
I was just about to say, okay, because I'm watching the Yankees right now, and they're typically home run, strikeout, or walk, 3-2 outcomes.
Yeah.
They get into trouble where they just hit home runs. And I think for any player, now granted, you have the power to hit home runs. So take it for what I mean. This is just my opinion. But if you keep the approach of when you don't try to hit home runs, they happen. And when you try to hit them, what happens? Pop-ups left and right. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So for you to have that wise approach of not trying to hit them, if they happen, then great. But for you to be able to have the biggest need on the team to be on base, driving runs, whichever they may be, that's very impressive by you. Seriously.
Thank you.
No problem. Bri, it was great to be able to have you on the podcast. I could talk to you forever. Great wisdom from you. And I'd love to hear more about the Newtown team. Hopefully I can have you back on sometime, later on in the season or over your next 2 years with Newtown, because I think this Newtown team will be one to be reckoned with this year and for the next couple of years, it sounds like, as well.
Yes, most definitely. We're definitely, as they said, the dark horse of this season. So definitely watch us, because we'll be hungry.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. From our CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on our journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.